A pleasant day to the distinguished keynote and plenary speakers, as well as to the organizers of the 7th Culture, English Language Teaching, and Literature International Conference. I am Associate Professor Atilano of the University of St. Salle, Philippines. It is my distinct pleasure to share with you today the findings from my empirical inquiry into the impact of artificial intelligence paraphrasing tools on the paraphrasing skills of ESL Filipino students at our university. This in-depth qualitative inquiry into the challenges encountered by ESL Filipino students in paraphrasing academic texts is part of a two-phase study involving a linguistic analysis of student-generated paraphrased academic texts and paraphrasing strategies, backed up by a focus group discussion focusing on the specific difficulties of the participants in generating original paraphrases. It is worth noting that the participants in this study, by their own admission, are active users of AI paraphrasing tools. And because they were tasked to paraphrase without the aid of AI, the main goal of this inquiry is to draw implications of over-reliance on AI and how it impacts the paraphrasing skills of the participants. This study is prompted by the fact that paraphrasing in the second language is a major challenge among students of academic writing and research courses, which needs to be better understood by students, teachers, and module designers. Also, the dearth in research on linguistic features of manually generated paraphrased academic texts produced by ESL students and the challenges they encounter was a source of motivation to undertake this study. Ultimately, the goal is to improve the explicit teaching of paraphrasing skills to ESL learners. As this is a two-phase inquiry, the initial phase sought to analyze the linguistic features of student-generated paraphrased academic texts produced by students enrolled in academic writing and research courses across disciplines. The second phase aimed to probe into the difficulties experienced by Filipino ESL students when required to paraphrase without the aid of AI paraphrasing tools. For the first phase of the study, I looked into the linguistic modifications from the original text manifested in the student-generated paraphrased academic text and examined the paraphrasing errors that contribute to paraphrase extremes, content loss, and non-paraphrases. This is to establish if there really is a difficulty with paraphrasing among the participants. The second question focused on the specific difficulties encountered by the participants in paraphrasing without the aid of AI paraphrasing tools. This study is anchored on three language theories, namely meaning text theory, functional systemic grammar, and generative semantics. This study involved 85 students enrolled in academic writing and research courses. 30 are senior high school students, 30 college students, 25 graduate students in the master's and doctoral degree programs. After participating in the in-class paraphrasing exercise without the use of AI tools, 25 of them were selected to take part in a focus group discussion using the inclusion criteria. The linguistic text analysis involved three stages, namely paraphrase detection, annotation, and a coding of paraphrase units, as well as error analysis of non-paraphrase pairs. Again, the objective of this analysis is to look into the paraphrasing strategies used by the participants and to establish if there is a difficulty in accomplishing the task. So you are looking at the data that I used and I processed in this study. Now let's go to the results and findings of the study. Looking at the findings, you can see that the top 5 modifications from the original text manifested in the student-generated paraphrases are miscellaneous changes, such as change of order, morphosyntactic changes, which is syntax-based, mainly morphosyntactic. So students seem to perceive paraphrasing as mere transposition of sentence constituents and use of synonymous substitutions. Results imply that students need to understand that there is more to paraphrasing than simply reordering phrases, changing of format, shifting in voice, adding and deleting, and finding synonyms. And given the top 5 most common modifications, it is safe to say that students need to acquire more sophisticated paraphrasing techniques, as findings show that the techniques they commonly employ are mainly structural and surface level. Meanwhile, the error analysis shows that a simple rearrangement of constituents and synonym substitution is the most common paraphrasing errors. This implies that as paraphrase extremes result from comprehension failure, students need to develop their comprehension skills and strengthen their vocabulary skills. I also found that entailment leading to content loss is either caused by imprecise or meaning-altering substitutions. So this implies that students need to learn the skill of using precise word choice. Also, students need to distinguish between a paraphrase and a summary in order to avoid content and semantic loss when paraphrasing. As it is presumed that paraphrasing errors result from a failure to utilize information from the original text, students need to develop the micro skill of noting significant details. Students need to understand the concept of synonymy, particularly the fact that many synonyms are not exact synonyms and that usage is context dependent. All paraphrase errors may be attributed to a very limited vocabulary repertoire and poor comprehension skill. So findings from the thematic analysis of the FGD transcript yielded 3 themes: the challenge of preserving semantic content and fidelity. And these are the excerpts from the transcript, what the participants have to say when asked what challenges they encountered during paraphrasing. The second theme is grappling with the lexicosemantic and morphosyntactic demands of paraphrasing. And during the FGD, students or participants expressed the difficulty in distinguishing if other parts could be omitted, rearranging the structure, affects the tone of their writing, difficulty with coming up with other terms to substitute for the original word. And the third is contending with limited vocabulary, poor comprehension, and the lack of practice due to over-reliance on AI paraphrasing tools. And so several of my participants mentioned that without the help of online sources or AI paraphrasing apps, they find it very difficult to paraphrase. So excerpts from the FGD transcript provide a thick documentary evidence from personal experience attesting to the reality that students nowadays are relying heavily on AI paraphrasing tools and that they do not have the necessary skills to paraphrase. So from the FGD, the following insights were drawn. Paraphrasing is a specialized skill that requires a lot of practice to master, as well as a combination of good reading comprehension skills, a wide range of vocabulary, and writing proficiency. The task of paraphrasing demands sophisticated linguistic and cognitive abilities from students because paraphrasing is not simply rewording the original text. Paraphrasing requires the ability to manipulate language on multiple levels, semantically, morphologically, syntactically, for one to paraphrase successfully. As findings show that the paraphrasing techniques students commonly employ are mainly structural and surface level, there is a need to teach them more effective paraphrasing techniques. As paraphrasing errors result from a failure to utilize information from the original text, students need to develop the micro skill of noting significant details. Students need to understand the concept of synonymy, particularly the fact that many synonyms are not exact synonyms and that usage is context dependent. As paraphrase errors are attributed to very limited vocabulary repertoire, and poor comprehension skill, these skills must be reinforced in the ESL classroom. Now, the question is, why can't our students paraphrase properly? The answer is obviously their over-reliance on AI paraphrasing tools. This over-reliance brings with it certain risks. Laura Young, Turnitin content marketing specialist, pointed out that this dependency can stifle a writer's ability to produce original work and diminish their creative capabilities, resulting in the atrophy of essential skills such as critical analysis, vocabulary development, and grammatical precision. So Young also pointed out that by using AI to paraphrase, they miss out on the mental exercise of evaluating, analyzing, and synthesizing information. And this can lead to a superficial understanding of the material, as users may accept AI-generated content without questioning its accuracy or depth. Moreover, Young said that if the original content contains errors or biases, these can be perpetuated and even amplified by paraphrasing tools. Students may unwittingly propagate misinformation or incorrect interpretations, leading to a cycle of inaccuracies that could result in awarding a degree of or certificate to a student lacking crucial subject knowledge. Indeed, this can undermine the educational process and academic integrity standards of our institutions. So how can educators encourage critical thinking in an era of AI paraphrasing? I think this is the most important question. Now, active learning involves engaging students directly in the learning process, putting them at the center of the learning experience. To engage students in active learning, educators can encourage students to participate in discussions, debates, and problem-solving activities. These activities require students to analyze information, form arguments, and critically evaluate different perspectives. Teach students to ask probing questions about the material they read, write, and the outputs of any generative AI tools they may have adopted to produce their work. Questions that challenge assumptions, explore alternative viewpoints, and dig deeper into the subject matter can significantly enhance students' critical thinking skills. Questions can also help you as an educator to uncover misconceptions among students, which provides a means of formative assessment data that can be leveraged to improve future teaching and learning. By integrating project-based learning in the form of real-world problems into the curriculum, educators create a dynamic learning environment that teaches critical thinking and prepares students for the complexities of real-world situations. A study showed that project-based learning significantly improved students' learning outcomes and positively contributed to the academic achievement, effective attitudes, and thinking skills, especially academic achievement. Also, Young pointed out that AI writing doesn't have to mean academic dishonesty. With practical strategies for embracing the challenge and also the potential that comes along with AI technology and writing, teachers can use AI as supplementary aids to enhance critical thinking and writing skills rather than replacements for traditional learning. For instance, students can use generative AI and AI paraphrasing tools to understand complex text better, but they should also be encouraged to analyze and critique the AI's output. To conclude my presentation, I wish to point out that I personally have nothing against the use of artificial intelligence, and I am in fact endorsing it as a teaching and learning tool. However, I also would like to emphasize that AI must be used ethically and responsibly so that our learners do not end up disabled by their over-reliance on this technology. Thank you for your kind attention. This ends my presentation. Good day, everyone.